Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Hayley.
After meeting online, we became international best friends who bonded over how hard it is to find success in the entertainment industry.
Join us and our celebrity co-authors as they help us write the book on how to make it.
And, more importantly, uncover what making it even means.
Hi, my name is Richie Moriarty, and I wanted to be a pediatrician when I grew up.
No way!
Yeah. So my dad was a pediatrician, and
Wow.
That was my next question.
it was one of those things where I watched this guy who loved his job so much. It's so rare, I think, to have someone have a long career and love every second of it. My dad loved his job. So I think that sort of infectious positivity around an occupation really wore off on me. And I was like, okay, then I'll do that too. I'll be a pediatrician. But then I took, one biology class in college and I was like, oh, never mind. This is way too hard. I gotta get out of here.
So it lasted a long time, that idea.
Yeah, I think for a long time I thought, okay, I'll go into medicine. That'll be the thing.
Wow.
But it just, I don't know. It wasn't for me. And mostly because honestly, I remember taking an organic chemistry class at one point and an advanced biology class. And I was like, oh, not only does this not really tickle me in the same way my dad is clearly engaged by his profession, it was just so hard. And I was like, yeah, if it's this hard this early, which I think is part of what they do at college or university is they scare med students out of becoming full med students. And I was one of those that was like, okay, never mind. This isn't for me.
Yeah. I was going to say, I bet if you'd have actually got into it, I bet you'd have been really good at it.
I think so too. I think the bedside manner part of it and being with kids, I would have loved. But man, I still think about my dad is almost 80 now, and he's it has just an encyclopedic knowledge of medicine, he's an infectious disease specialist. So going through COVID with him, on the other end of the phone was so helpful. And with two kids, I've got two little kids, we are calling him nonstop to be what is this rash? Or what does this cough mean? Or whatever. So it was so helpful to have him. And yeah, I feel I would have been good in some ways, but I don't know if I would have been able to retain the information that you have to retain to be a good doctor. And he's amazing at it.
When did it kind of start to move into your current career then? How did that happen?
That happened when I started taking improv classes after college. Excuse me. I decided right after college, my three best friends from college moved super far away. One moved to Papua New Guinea, one moved to the Congo, and one moved to, where was my other friend? I think Texas. And so all of a sudden I was like, oh, what's that?
I'm just kidding. I said,
do I blame myself
for that? Why were they all trying to get so far away?
I mean, I couldn't help but feel guys, I thought we were all going to hang out in Boston. What are we doing here? But yeah, I found myself having to rediscover what a social life is after college, where it's so baked in, and you're just able to, you're surrounded by your peers. And a friend of mine was taking an improv class and was I love it. It's people roughly my age, and it's super fun and low pressure. And it had been something that I had always thought about doing. So yeah, I started taking an improv class, and very quickly that became, a huge part of my life. And I found I was good at it and I was enjoying it. And, ended up improvising for about 10 years in Boston before moving to New York and joining Upright Citizens Brigade in New York. And yeah, it was just that kind of is what got everything going.
Yeah. When you first took that step into that improv class, were you scared? Because I think improv is the scariest thing.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying at first. And what I think it's like anything, it's like any new skill, you have no idea what you're doing. It's terrifying, but it also in the best kind of classes you take, it feels very protected and low pressure. And I was lucky to have a lot of great teachers early on who were just really running you through exercises to fully free your mind, and there's no wrong choice. Just get out there, and we're all going to support the hell out of you no matter what comes out of your mouth. And over time, you have to do years of terrible improv before you're even close to good. I think Amy Poehler says, like, the best improvisers in the world are only successful 70% of the time. Yeah. So like there's still a huge failure rate, and you see it all the time. Like I've seen, icons improvising, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you're like, okay, that show was fine, but like, yeah, I think after, you get a certain amount of hours under your belt, you're like, okay, I know how to do this, and I'm starting to learn how to do this more successfully, more regularly. But yeah, it's terrifying at first. It's terrifying.
Are you still on the East Coast? You must be, because otherwise
I am. I'm in New Jersey.
Oh my gosh! Wait, that's me too.
Where are you?
Monmouth County.
Oh, okay. I'm in Essex County.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm super close to the city.
Yeah, I'm like, I take the ferry. It's like 40 minutes.
Amazing.
I always get so excited when people are in New Jersey. Anyway.
Yeah, when they say New Jersey, you're like, oh. Yeah, we moved here. I met my wife in Brooklyn, and we moved out here when we had our first. So we've been out in Jersey since. And I have, like, neither of us had any connection to New Jersey. We were just like, what is a place where we can afford to buy a house and still commute into the city? And we came out to this area and loved it immediately. So yeah, we've been here for about 7 years.
That's awesome. Okay. I love it. Anyway, I love New Jersey. That's why I get so excited. Sorry guys. It's fine.
I'm this is me at 9 a.m. New Jersey.
Haley.
If you want to just cry about New Jersey for a few minutes, I'm sure the listeners wouldn't mind.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite? This is a true New Jersey thing. Do you have a favorite rest stop named after a famous person?
Whitney Houston.
Yeah. I feel like that's the only like right answer. My dad always laughs when we go by like James Gandolfini rest area.
Totally, which is just classic. There's also the one that always makes me laugh is Connie Chung, because like Connie Chung was like, the anchor of the nightly news when I was growing up, and I'm just like, what a funny. First of all, I never would have considered that Connie Chung was from New Jersey, but it's just funny to be reminded of that name driving by that rest stop.
There's Judy Blume, I think, and then there's John Bon Jovi. That one's near me.
Oh, really? So that must be further south than I'm used to going.
Yeah, so that's near me. I went to school with his kids, so I remember when the whole thing happened, and everyone was like, "Wow, he has a rest stop named after him now."
Yeah,
Bon Jovi.
Why?
So you sound like my dad. My dad was like, why on earth, if I was still alive, I would never want a rest stop named after me.
What's a rest stop? Is a rest stop like a service station? Like
it's got like gas station, places to eat, go to the bathroom, classic sort of rest stop.
The services. We call it the services.
The services. Of course you do. It's so proper.
I know. The petrol and
the services. We're like, this is a piss stop. Like we're starving and we need to piss.
It's the Bon Jovi piss stop.
Yeah.
That's the official name.
Pretty much.
Bon Jovi piss stop.
Well, we move into a section now where we tell you 2 random facts that we found out about you in our research. Mine is that as of when I saw this interview of you, you don't believe in ghosts. Or you didn't during this interview.
Yeah.
So what's that like with your current profession playing a ghost?
Well, it's funny because we get asked whether we believe in ghosts all the time, right?
Really?
Like it's like one of those classic questions. Like in every junket we do, it's like, do you believe in ghosts, or like ask about ghost experiences? And because I haven't had any direct experiences like seeing a ghost, I'm like, I guess I don't really believe in it. Now, do I think there's like some sort of afterlife and energy exchange of some sort after you die? Of course. Like I think that's kind of undeniable. Yeah. But do I believe in ghosts? Like, like somebody in my attic with chains, like going, like not really. That's not my experience. So yeah, I'm always like, anytime that question comes up with like a group of us, I'm always like deferring to truly anyone else, because I'm like, I have nothing interesting to add here. And some people are like, Devin Chandler Long, who plays Thorfinn on our show, The Viking,
Yeah.
he'll spend a full day talking to you about his experiences with like spooky things. Betsy Sidaro, who plays Nancy, one of the basement ghosts, she has like a whole podcast about like, I forget what it's called, but it's like about spooky ghost encounters. So many of my castmates have like great stuff to add, and I'm kind of like, I'm just gonna observe this section of the interview.
It's not a question for you.
Not for me. Not for me.
My friend has a whole YouTube channel. She goes around New Jersey or like Philly and goes to like haunted places and will like sleep there. And I went with her to like some ghost convention at this haunted mansion, and I did not realize what I was getting into. And then she sat me next to some like possessed doll. I left early. I was like, am I supposed to be?
Early. And
then I was afraid like I brought something back into my house. I was like, I don't think I've had an experience with, I don't care to find out if I'm
no,
wrong.
I don't really care to either. Like, I think about that too. Like, if I had some like really creepy experience in my house, I'd be like, well, shit, I can't stay here. Like, I think I have to leave now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really glad I haven't encountered anything like that. Although I'm sure, like, if I lost a loved one and felt like I was visited by them, that's the kind of like ideal ghost encounter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you're kind of looking for it, aren't you? You're just kind of looking for anything to, I don't know. I feel like you've invited some guy with chains to your basement now. You've said that about. Imagine if that just happened.
If so, I'm going to call you guys and you're going to pay for my moving fees to get the hell out of this house.
Sorry. My random facts about you, slightly surprising facts off the internet. You hate the sound of people chewing. I agree.
Oh, yeah, I really do.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's crazy, too, because like, I'm a dad now. I have a 7 and a 4-year-old and kids are notoriously bad at chewing, right? Like just like mouths open, chomping it up. They're almost like, my son is almost like doing a bit when he chews. Like, he's like, let's see how loud I can make this. And you have to, like, I feel like parenting is so much about picking your battles. And so if I were to correct him every time he did that, that would be 90% of our relationship. So I have to really just like sit with it. And I find myself literally like getting meditative at mealtime because I'm like, if I continue to pay attention to this chewing, I'm going to go insane. But it's insane. I mean, like, kids are the worst.
It's a battle I pick. I can't handle it.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, you really have to pick your battles. And that's just, they're bigger fish to fry than loud chewing in my house.
Oh, it is the worst. It is the worst. I found as well that mine could chew like normal human beings until they went to school. And then it's like they all learnt from each other how to chew like monsters.
Yeah. It's just like the way they pick up like the language of their friends in school, right? Like, our kids will come back from school saying certain things, and like immediately my wife and I are like, where did you hear that? Like, my son sang some like very morbid, almost like nursery rhyme the other day, had the full thing memorized. It was about like a hearse rolling down the street. And I'm like, what, where is this coming from? And of course, like, most kids' memory is also terrible, or at least my kids have terrible memories. So I'm like, where did you learn that? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, you don't know? Like, someone at school must have been singing that. And he's like, yeah, someone was, but I don't know. And I'm like, but you know the whole thing. You just sang like 3 verses of this like insane nursery rhyme. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. So
oh my
God, pick up all kinds of shit.
Do you have the 6-7 thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that needs to go away.
Although, you know what has really worked in our house? My wife and I just decided to do it all the time.
Oh, clever.
And then he was very much like, okay, it's over.
Yeah. That's clever. Thank you. Might take that.
I can't believe that is everywhere. Like, every parent is having to hear 6, 7. Do you know anything about this without kids?
I've heard tell of it, but I don't know what it is or where it came from or what the deal is. It feels almost like when we were kids and someone would say like 69 and we'd be like, ho, ho, ho. And like, I didn't even know what they were talking about. But like that, but I don't know
Well, luckily 6, 7 is not based in any sexual position.
No, sadly not. I was trying to work out how it would work.
Yeah. Who's the 7? I think I'm the 7.
Yoga.
Yeah. No, but 6, 7 literally it comes from nowhere, and it's not even worth talking about. It's just a stupid thing that kids
Let's move on.
Well, I
repeat.
can
It's
move
meaningless.
us.
Let's get out of this.
Yeah, I can move us on. I'm actually going to move us back to Ghost for a second.
Great.
I have several questions just about being in costume every day in essentially the same thing 99% of the time. But
Yeah.
how long did it take you to learn the spatial awareness of the arrow? Because I'm assuming, they yell cut, or you're at crafty or whatever, you're doing something and you have to learn how to have that. Nobody else really has anything like that. So how long did that take you before you can now move freely?
It took a full season to get used to it and for it to feel like it was literally an extension of my body. But like in season 1, there were a couple of moments, like I remember this one scene that we were filming, and Roman, who plays Sisapis, the Native American ghost, was standing next to me. And in the scene, I made a choice to kind of whisper one of my lines to him. And I leaned over toward him to whisper, and still keep my face toward camera. And the tip of the arrow caught his eyelid.
Oh my God.
And in season 1, the tip of the arrow was still like a legit sharp metal arrow, which after that moment, they immediately swapped it out for like a styrofoam tip that still looks metallic. But there were moments like that, or I would go to like, a director came on that I knew prior to the show, and I'd go to give them a hug, and like I would destroy my arrow hugging somebody. So like there were a lot of moments like that where it took me some time, but now I truly now it takes me a long time to get used to not wearing it. Like we just finished 7 months of filming, so we all of season 5 is shot, and they're editing it now, and like there's still 11 episodes to air, or 10 I think now to air in the season. But we just finished, and so I'm in that thing all day every day. It's more of a pain to take on and off when I have breaks, so I mostly just keep it on. But now I will, I'll come home where I'm not filming, and I'll walk through a doorway like this, like sideways, because that's what I kind of have to do. But the other thing that they did was like in season 2 of the show, we knew that like the arrows and it was the width of it was an issue. It was just like super wide, so they actually like trimmed it by like an inch on either end for all subsequent seasons, and it's really like an imperceptible difference. But to me, it used to be a little wider than my shoulders, which was like a huge pain, because then I was hitting it on everything. But it took me a long time. It took me really a full 22 episodes of filming, like a full 7 months to be like, okay, now I'm fully aware of where I am at all times and what I'm able to do physically with other people while it's on. But it's I'll tell you what the benefit of wearing the same thing every day is. So fittings are a huge part of being in any show, movie, as you're constantly going to wardrobe, right? And like, our 2 leads, our livings, Sam and Jay, are like having to go to fittings all the time because they wear different things all the time. We never have to do that. So like our job is a lot easier in some ways because we never have to be fit for new outfits, unless we're doing like a flashback, which maybe happens once or twice a season, and we're actually wearing, new clothes, it's always exciting to us to be in something different. And the other thing about those flashbacks too is like we get to actually interact with the physical world. Like I can pick up a coffee mug, or I can read a newspaper. So anytime we have a flashback, we're like, can I please have props? Like give me props to hold on to, because we can't touch anything as ghosts. And it's frustrating as an actor because you don't realize how often you interact with the physical world when you're not playing a ghost. So anytime we have a flashback, we're like, what can I be holding? Anything, just give me something to hold,
Go ahead.
No. Go.
I was just going to say, when I worked on Young Sheldon, and when I lived in LA, and they were very realistic in that those characters, like they didn't have a lot of money. They wore the same. I mean, humans wear the same thing over and over. I'm thinking of like Friends, where they never wore the same outfit twice. And it did save, like when there was a fitting, it was like, okay, there's a fitting today because everyone was usually wearing the same outfit over and over again.
It's really smart. I mean, like, it is one of those things that is so unrealistic on TV to see people constantly in new outfits. It's like, we all have 5 to 8 things that we're rotating day after day, you know? Like, the variety is not huge. It's funny because, like, when I pick up, I always think about that most acutely when I'm doing, like, pick up or drop off for my kids at school. And I'm like, everybody's going to see me in this same stupid hoodie again, you know? Like, this is what I wear. Sorry. I have 3 pairs of pants that I wear regularly, you know?
Oh, were you aware of the UK version before you started this project?
No, I wasn't. When I got the audition for it, they made a point to say like it's an adaptation of the existing BBC show. And so I went online and I watched their pilot just to get a sense for like tonally what their show was like. And Jim Howick plays like the direct translation of my character, right? He's like the guy with the arrow in his neck in the BBC version. And man, do I love Jim Howick. He's
great, isn't he?
The funniest dude. And my introduction to him was Sex Education on Netflix. He plays like the goofy music teacher on Sex Education, and he's so fucking funny. He's just so deeply funny. And so I'm watching this pilot and I'm watching his take on this character, and almost right away I was like, oh, I have to turn this off because I'm going to feel like I have to do an impression of him almost. And I know like if this show is going to have legs and if it's going to work well, I just need to truly do my version of this character and not feel like I'm doing an impression of Jim. So I honestly have watched very, very little of the BBC version. I love it. I love those guys. I've become friendly with Matthew Bainton. He did an episode of our show.
Oh, that's cool.
And he and I are in touch over WhatsApp every once in a while. They are all so incredibly supportive of our show because they were all a huge part of bringing it to America, like creatively, and they had a say in all kinds of things. And we're so thrilled that, you know, we felt a big amount of pressure to like do them justice and do this the right way. And we feel so lucky that like the show's been a success and, you know, and they're reaping a lot of those rewards. And I adore all of those actors. I think they're all amazing. And we feel so lucky that they came up with this brilliant concept and, and we've gotten to reap the benefits of their creativity. So,
yeah, I just always see it as a massive success story and a real kind of hang in there show because it took them so long to get that made, so long of pushing against the BBC.
Totally.
And then when it did get made, it went crazy, and like to have like a US version as well. Like I think it's gone beyond their wildest dreams. And
did you see? I think today they announced.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Okay, great. Yeah, you go.
No, go then.
Well, yeah, I woke up and I like opened Instagram, and because like I messaged with Jim a bunch, like his post popped up, and also Mary's post was there, and Matthew Bainton too. They're all posting about it, but they're gonna get to do a movie. They've been off the air for I think 3 seasons, and they're all gonna get together and do a ghost movie. So that's super exciting. I'm thrilled for them. It's gonna be super fun. I'm sure for them to be like step back into that world and get to play. Yeah.
You'll have to cut this out, Emily, but
so I wanted to talk to you about Same but Different.
Cool.
Which I got to see, and I have several questions. My first one is super basic. Do you know what the inspiration behind the title was?
So the title originally was the like working title when we filmed was The Weekend on Cape Cod When Everything Changed.
Wow.
Long title. And I think probably they were in post and starting to market it, and they were like, what can we do? But my guess is that like it's about these 3 Iranian women who have like very different experiences in relationship and coming to the United States and in how they relate to where they're from, being US citizens. And so I'm sure that was part of where it came from, was like, hey, yes, we are the same. We are Iranian women, but we obviously have very different experiences. I'm guessing that's where it came from. You said you saw the movie?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. How did you see it? Did they give you a screener?
Yes.
Amazing. I mean, so I'm going to South by Southwest on March 12th, where it's going to premiere, and I'm so excited to see it. But how was it? Tell me everything.
That's never happened before.
So I won't be at South by, but Den of Geek will be there. So I can give them a heads up that you'll be there. But
yeah.
Okay, well, first I'm gonna say if you Google "same but different," you get that scene from the interview with James Franco. Have you seen the interview? It's like that movie where it's not the same as what you did. It is they go to like interview Kim Jong-un in North Korea.
Oh yeah, that movie.
And like, so James Franco's making this speech and he can't communicate, and so he says same but like it's
right,
not the same. But anyway, when you first Google the movie, that clip is like of him giving this like speech is the first thing that comes
that's
up.
So weird. As you started saying that, I was like, is James Franco in our movie?
No.
What's happening?
Yes,
I don't remember him on set.
Yes, that was reshoots. He becomes.
Can you imagine? I go to South by Southwest. I'm completely replaced by James Franco. I am not in the movie for a single frame. Oh my gosh, so funny. I mean, honestly, like this is the kind of thing that happens all the time as an actor.
Yeah.
I shot this movie called The Instigators with Matt Damon, Casey Affleck, Paul Walter Hauser, all these great people, right? Jack Harlow, and I'm not in the movie for a single frame. I was absolutely cut out of the whole thing. I was like, wait, what? And like it came out on Apple TV. I think it came out in theaters for like a week too, but it came out on Apple TV. And I was like so excited to sit down and watch it. And I'm like playing this like Boston mobster guy who's in on this hit of a grocery store. And I was like so excited. It's like a Doug Liman movie he did the recent Roadhouse movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, and he did like the first Bourne movie with Matt Damon. So like big deal, so different than anything I've ever done. Absolutely not in it for a frame.
Oh my god!
Totally cut out. I was like, "What is happening?"
So you're
like the
in
movie
this movie
picks up. Great, I'm in it. I made the cut.
Sorry.
Yeah,
that's good.
I was like, I'm a little confused because I didn't see you once. The movie is great.
I would be absolutely heartbroken.
Well, that's why we wanted to call you here today to break the news.
Just tell you.
Can you imagine the meanest interview of all time?
We come off very nice, but we're actually like the worst
assholes,
monsters.
So I wanted to ask you, and you'll know this because you'll probably have memory of filming it. So I don't think anything I'm going to ask you would need you to have seen the movie, unless you've got really bad memory. But I guess we'll find out.
I do, but let's see. Let's test it.
Okay, great. So I'm wondering, it has comedic moments mostly when your character Pat and the character of Ryan are together, but it's like a more serious topic, as you mentioned earlier. What do you think? I feel like when you have any sort of serious backbone to a film, any comedic character or more serious character that has comedic moments has a really specific purpose within the script, because you want to use everyone really intentionally to not lose that message. What do you think your character's purpose was within the larger message of the film?
You know, I think with that specific character of Pat, like, yes, there are comedic elements, but in large part, I was in service of it like my character was really to highlight why we shouldn't have been in a relationship together.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a lot of like, hey, these two people might be charming in their own right and be great people individually, but that doesn't necessarily mean they go together. And I think like we've all been in relationships, right? Where like, or I have, where like you really care for this person and you're having a great time together, but ultimately you're like, yeah, I don't know if this is the person I need to be with. I don't know if we fully make sense together. And Layla, who played my partner in the movie, she is such a great actress, and it was really fun to find that with her, to find this kind of relationship where it's like, on paper these people might totally be able to work, but
Yeah.
ultimately their lives are in a place where like this doesn't make sense. So I think that the challenge there was like playing a lovable person who, yes, is funny in moments and has great moments, but who you want the audience to be like, yeah, this isn't the guy though for her. This isn't her person. And so yeah, that was super fun to play. And the script is great. Dahlia Rooney, who wrote the script, is amazing. And yeah, it was really, really fun to play in that movie with them.
There's a scene with you and Ryan where you're digging that hole on the beach, and Ryan
Yeah.
gets really sunburnt. And it's cut between some pretty serious conversations between the women about immigration and why she's getting married and all this stuff. And then it cuts to like Ryan getting progressively more sunburnt, and you guys are getting more frustrated.
Yeah.
That scene to me was really interesting. Like, how did you approach it knowing that it was in between these like more serious moments?
So there's so much trust that you have to put in directors and editors in moments like that, because you know that like if this isn't handled well in the edit, it may not work. So there are lots of moments where you are just kind of like free falling, it feels like, on set, and you're like, hey, I just have to fully trust that they have thought through this and it's going to be handled well in the edit, and I need to deliver on the moments that they're hoping for here. But it's always a tricky thing to do. That particular scene too, like, it's funny because like I'm playing against this guy who's jacked, right? Who's like in great shape, but sunburned. I am not jacked. And there's like, there's a moment, there's a lot of like, hey, I'm going to physically embarrass myself a bit here. It's also April in Massachusetts. It was freezing. So it was one of those situations too, where we're like, some of the women had to get in the water. The water was maybe in the 50s. It was ice cold. It was so cold. And so much of your brain space is like, okay, I need to barf out these lines in a way that is believable and absolutely get my robe back on immediately. Cause it was just so cold. I remember my toes being insanely numb. You're standing in the sand and the sand is like borderline frozen. Like it's just
Great
like
acting.
it's such an uncomfortable experience. But yeah, I remember those are the kind of things that are so fun though, where you're like, what is my life? Why am I in a bathing suit in 50-degree weather on Cape Cod while we're filming this insane scene? I can't wait to see it again. Like I'm thrilled that you saw it. I'm like, wow, people are actually going to watch this movie. It's great.
At least one.
At least one. That's all we need. We need one great person to scream about it.
I am very loud.
Great.
How did you find your way into that character? Do you have a particular process, or is it kind of a case by case thing?
I think for me, because that, again, that character is so in service of that relationship in the movie, and that's why he's there, is to, really help Layla's character in that movie. And I think like for me, it was a lot of connecting with relationships in my past that felt that way. And luckily I had been in similar relationships in my life where I'm like, I love this person. I care deeply for this person, but our roads are clearly diverging and it doesn't feel like this is going to be the person for me forever. And so I think you call on a lot of that experience, but also for me as an improviser, a lot doesn't happen until I'm on set. Like I hadn't met Layla. So like when we met and started hanging out while we're filming it and, ran through our first scene a couple of times, so much of how I work is I need to see how she's playing it. And I really want to just listen and respond in a way that I think makes sense within the confines of this character. So much of it came into became concrete after we started rehearsing a little bit and spending more time together. because, you know, everybody's got a different energy and vibe on set. And luckily for me, Layla is so prepared and professional and brilliant, and it was really fun to play against her in those scenes, because like when you're working with great actors, you have no choice but to rise to their level or you're going to drown. And it was just really nice. I felt like she and I were so on the same page very quickly, and I had just like a really joyful experience with her doing that, even though we had some tough scenes. You know, we're filming breakup scenes, so like it's hard to watch this couple like come to the realization that like, hey, this, you know, we might not be the people for each other, but that doesn't mean we don't love each other and care for each other, but it just might not be, you know, the right thing right now. So yeah, I really enjoyed my experience making that. It was super fun. And it's just like, you know, when you're on a hit show like Ghosts and we're entering the 6th season of this show, like a chance to do anything else where I don't have an arrow in my neck is just like, I can't wait. I can't wait to truly do anything else.
Wait,
you know,
they didn't tell you
I love Ghosts so much.
They didn't tell
Go
you the
ahead.
alternate ending where you get killed by an arrow off screen in this movie?
They just CGI an arrow in. My character's completely unaware that it happens. Yeah, that would be a real bummer to find out that every other job I do, they're like, how do we incorporate the
find
arrow?
out you've been a ghost the whole time at the end of the movie.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
you were a ghost of
it's
her
a very
Layla's
Sixth
past.
Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Do you have, you kind of gave us a bit of a story where, you know, you're freezing on the beach and you're having to say your lines, and but do you have another one you can think of where you're at any point in your career, it could be improv or it could have happened yesterday, where you're looking around going like, I can't believe this is what I have to do in order to like do this job or achieve this goal?
Oh my God, so many things come to mind. Immediately what came to mind is I did a Geico commercial before Ghosts. For a long time I was a commercial actor. I did a lot of commercial and voiceover work, and that's what paid the bills, right? Yeah, and so I did a Geico commercial with the Gecko. It's like just me and the Gecko. So felt like, oh, this is cool. Like this will actually be on TV, and they aired it a ton. It was great. It was great, like financially, but it was also just like a super fun experience. But like the process of filming that is they have a little fake gecko that's like literally, you know, 3 inches tall. And in this scene, he was like, they put this little figurine on a table, and I'm just playing to a gecko. And then the director of the spot was responding as if he's the gecko. But like, they knew I came from an improv background. And so the setup for that commercial was like, we are coworkers. The gecko and I are coworkers, but I don't remember his name. That's the setup. But the final spot is fully improvised. But like the process of improvising with a 3-inch tall gecko figurine is one of those moments where I'm like, literally, what is happening? Like, what on earth is my life? There's also a scene at the end of season 5 of Ghosts, which will air sometime in May, where I absolutely had that moment of like, what led me to this point? How am I possibly doing this? And all the crew, like there's so many people from our crew came up to me after filming this insane scene where they're like, did you ever think in your whole life you'd be doing this? And I was like, fully never. I could not have made something up. And I wish I could give you guys a little bit of a teaser, but I can't. The season ends with like a big moment for Pete. And yeah, it's I can't wait for people to see it. It was truly an insane thing to film.
The CGI acting has to be hard. I don't know if you've heard, there's Daniel Radcliffe has a new show with I think it's Tracy Morgan. I always go to call
Bobby
him
Moynihan and Tracy Morgan.
I always go to call him his character in 30 Rock instead of his Tracy's actual name.
Oh, funny.
But
Tracy Jordan.
There's a scene in the first or second episode, I think that's all that's out, where they like do a cut to like a gag to Daniel Radcliffe was like apparently tried to direct a Marvel movie and had a mental breakdown because there were so many tennis balls that he had to try and direct and talk to, and then like one of them was supposed to be an actual tennis ball, and he was like, and he like freaks out.
That's great.
He's like, which one's the real tennis ball? And yeah, I always think of that when I see any kind of commercial like that, is like, who is he so to hear that it's an actual gecko that's something.
Yeah. It is something. Yeah, that's true. I could have been staring at a tennis ball or just a mark on the table. Very often it's like, just stare at this blue piece of tape. I always think about Rose McIver, the lead in Ghosts, when people talk about things like this, because we do this weird thing in our show, right? Where we shoot a scene. Let's say there are 8 ghosts in the scene and the 2 living. So we're filming that. We're all in this big room together and we're filming everybody's coverage. And then they do what's called a ghostless pass, which is all the ghosts step out of the room and Rose, it's basically like Jay's POV because Jay can't see the ghost. So they'll often cut to this like slightly different framing of the shot, but through Jay's eyes. And Rose has to remember, we are basically step right off set and we're still shouting our lines so that they can still play the scene and hear our lines. But Rose has to remember all of our eye lines, where exactly we were all standing. And she does not have a tennis ball or tape or anything. So the calculus in her brain that has to happen as she's hearing our lines and moving her eye line from place to place. And often she's like playing to a living, but there's a ghost squawking behind her and she has to just give like a subtle eye movement to,
oh my gosh,
so the audience knows, hey, she's hearing what he's saying and she's trying to ignore him because she's trying to have a conversation with a living person who doesn't know there's a ghost right there. But she is playing like 3D chess while filming this show. She's incredible. She's so insanely good at her job, and it's always fun to watch her little moments, especially in an edit. Like sometimes I don't see what she's doing on set, and you'll see the edit and be like, "Oh, you genius! You totally sold that moment with just a little shift in your eye contact." She's so good.
That's so impressive.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think like she doesn't get the credit she deserves for doing the like acting gymnastics she's doing on screen. She's just incredible.
It's mad. I'm going to move us on to a question, which is...
Get ready.
I know, it's not that exciting. What is your definition of making it? It's a big one.
I think it's twofold, right? There's always a financial element to it, right? Like you want to be making enough money so that you're comfortable and don't necessarily need to do anything else.
Yeah.
But I think like having really felt like you've made it includes this idea that you're doing something creatively that feels fulfilling, right? That you're like using your full skill set, that you alone are the person doing the job that you're doing. Like only you could be doing this thing. And I think like, it's funny, early on in my career, there was more balance or more weight placed on the financial part of this, right? Like, I just want to be making enough money as an actor that I don't have to worry about having a full-time job somewhere else or even a part-time job somewhere else, right? Like if I can just be paying my bills acting, that's the goal. And then once that happens, then you are like, okay, but I also want to be enjoying the work and feeling like I'm putting out interesting work. And I'm really fortunate to be on a show where it feels it's calling on all of my skills as an improviser and as a sketch comedian. It is such a true ensemble comedy. And I feel like I am specifically good at that kind of thing. I love being able to like elevate the people around me and set people up for great moments. I love being in a collaborative environment where I feel like everyone on set is trying to elevate the material and we're not just like strictly executing what's on the page, but that we're working collaboratively to make what's on the page even better. And it feels so nice to be on a show that is supporting me financially, but is fulfilling that creative side of things as well.
Yeah. It's amazing how much the financials really make a difference, doesn't it? Like, I think when people say that the money doesn't matter, like you can't say that if you've never had money. Like,
yeah, the people who say that have a ton of money. And
they do. They're fine, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it is like, I mean, what have you guys heard? You guys have interviewed so many people and probably asked this similar question. What are other things that you've heard that really stuck with you about like people's idea of making it?
Oh gosh. There's so many, like
It often does go into being able to choose the work.
Yes.
Being selective is one thing. The overarching theme is like being able to support yourself while being creative. There's been a couple, like I did a press junket with Idris Elba recently, and it was like, if I've ever said I've made it, you can like hit me over the head with a chair or something, like that there is no such thing, that's, you know, and so
Yeah.
it varies between like what I always think of. We interviewed an actor, Tim Downey, who his definition of making it, and he's, you know, plenty successful and doing just fine, but his definition was like entering a room and someone saying, like him being able to say, "Oh, I'm an actor," and not cringing when the next question of like, "Oh, what's the most recent thing you've done?" comes. Like being able to just be confident in the work that he's done, even if it didn't happen, like, you know, or they haven't seen it, like just owning the fact that he's an actor. That one always sticks
Well,
out.
especially in such a like fractured media landscape where there's a million shows and so few of us are watching the same things anymore. That is a funny thing, because like that question of like, what have I seen you in, comes up all the time when you say you're an actor. And it is such a weird thing to be like, hey, you probably, like, even though millions of people watch our show, I'm so fully aware that most people have not. So like, most people, when I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on a show called Ghosts, and they're like, what's that? Oh, it's on CBS or streams on Paramount. And they're like, yeah, no. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get it. I haven't seen most shows either. But that is like, that you think of that as a barometer, right? Like you should be able to say the name of what you do and everyone perks
knows.
up.
If you're a surgeon,
reality is like,
I was just gonna say, if you're like, I'm a surgeon, like you wouldn't be like, oh, has anyone died on your table recently? Like what? Like what's your success rate? Like,
whose life have you saved recently? It's a weird thing. You do have to feel like you have to prove yourself quite often when you say you're an actor. But like, who I mean, I don't, like, who cares? I think some people get peeved when like they're not recognized or whatever, and I'm like, I would so rather never be recognized than, you know, it's always. I had this weird experience recently where I was crossing the border. We film in Montreal, which is like a 6-hour drive from where I am in Jersey. So I'm often coming back and forth just in the car because it's a little bit easier than dealing with flights last minute. And so I cross at like one of the land crossings into Canada, and the border agents are always like, what is your purpose of coming to Canada? And you say like, oh, I work in Canada. What do you do for work? I'm on a TV show. What TV show? Ghosts. And, you know, 90% of the time they're like, okay, go ahead. You know, like they wave you in, or you'll like show your work permit and you're through. But like the other day I drove up, and this border agent, immediately I rolled down my window and he was like, Pete! Oh, wow, Pete's here. Like,
so funny.
And he was so funny because he was like, he didn't know what to do with himself. And he was like, can I take a picture of you? So somewhere on some border agent's phone is literally a picture of me through the window of my car alone. You know, it's not even like he jumped in. And I'm just like, hello. And he's like, I can't wait to tell my wife. And I'm like, so like those moments are so cool where you're like, oh, clearly you love the show, and there's like, it's joyful for you, which is like all we can hope, right? Is that we're like brightening people's lives a little bit. But it's so funny because like that is not the experience I have most of the time. Most of the time it's just kind of like, I have not heard of this show. But other, you know, it's also weird because I'm in this show with 9 other series regulars. And some of their experiences are vastly different. Like Devin Chandler Long walks around looking like a Viking. He looks like his character. And so he has, you know, in the airport, people will be like, hey, Thorfinn, what's going on? Like people are yelling at him in the airport. But I have a very different experience where I feel like I'm enough incognito with the glasses and the arrow that I don't look like that necessarily. So I have
They
a
sell
different
those
experience
arrows on
walking through the
Amazon
world.
if you ever need an ego boost. There's like an $8 arrow. I looked it up on Amazon if you just want to walk around with an
Yeah,
arrow.
there's like you can buy full Pete costumes.
Oh my gosh,
That's
that should be my
amazing.
Yeah,
Halloween costume. Maybe I'll do that.
it's wild.
That would
It's
be
wild. Yeah, you
fun.
can do it. And like I feel like I am a popular Halloween costume for people who like our show because a lot of people are Boy Scouts and they
Mhm.
have like a couple of the like
Yeah.
rudimentary things and then they figure out how to fashion a little
Do the
arrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great.
That's how you know you've made it.
Yeah.
When you've got a costume of your
Sarah's making
character.
it.
So I have a great story about this. The first Halloween that our show had aired, I was in my house with my family. We had two very little ones at this point, like a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And we put out a bowl of candy. We were about to eat dinner, and we put out a bowl of candy that just said, like, take one, please, while we were eating dinner so that no one would like ring the bell and kind of interrupt dinner. And someone rang the bell, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, just take the bowl of candy. Like, what are you doing? So I go to the front door, and this little girl is on my step dressed as my character from Ghosts. And I was like, what is happening? And I see my neighbor from a couple doors down standing behind her being like, and I was like, what's happening? And this little girl was just making her way down our street, had no clue that I lived there, rang our neighbor Lisa's door. And Lisa said to her, like, oh my God, you're dressed as Richie. And she's like, no, I'm dressed as Pete from Ghosts. It's this new show. And she's like, yeah, I know. The actor lives 3 doors down. So she walked her over with her mom, and she and this little girl and her mom were like, what is happening? Because there's also like always an assumption that like, oh, you must live in Hollywood. And it's like, no, I live in suburban New Jersey. But that was a moment where that was truly like, oh, this show is something. Like the fact that like the show had just come out and this little girl was like, yeah, I love it. And I wanted to dress as Pete. And we're like, what is happening? So that was a really cool moment. And I took like a selfie with her. I asked her mom, I was like, can I take a picture with her? I took a selfie of it and I put it online, and like she was interviewed by like the CBS morning show the next morning, and like a bunch of publications picked it up. It was like it turned out to be like a very sweet story. It was pretty amazing.
I do have to I need to move us to our next question, but I do want to mention Jason Mantzoukas, who I love, recently told a story where he was going in for a colonoscopy. And like right before they put him to sleep, the anesthesiologist was like, big fan, man. And then he like fell asleep.
That's insane.
Yeah, he has another one where like he clogged the toilet at a hotel, and like the guy who came with the plunger, like after he unclogged the toilet, was like, big fan, man. So a lot of really odd stories for him.
Oh, that's the worst. Those moments where you just want to be fully anonymous and people are like, hey man,
yeah, I really clogged your.
I love the league.
So I want to ask
funny.
you, and it came to my attention after our interview a couple days ago. Maybe the phrasing of this question is confusing, so you can let me know. We've only been asking it for 2.5 years before I realized this. So if
you're gonna be like, what is your problem?
I know.
What?
Can you sign a HIPAA form so I can speak to your therapist? So okay. If your career was a book and you had to give this part of your career a chapter title, what would the chapter title be?
Oh man. This is going to be weird, but the chapter title would be Just a Chapter. And I'm going to tell you why. Ooh. This is a mantra that my wife and I repeat all the time. So all the time, right? An actor's experience of making a show is so vastly different than what people see on screen, right? That feels like a weird byproduct, but like in our brains, our experience of making the show is so different than what people see. Meaning that like, you know, for me specifically, and for most of our cast, you know, you guys know how the industry works right now. Very little shoots in New York or LA where people live. Yeah. And so we're often sent to, in this case, a foreign country to film our show. And the experience of that is so difficult for so many reasons, right? Like in Canada, the people are like, oh, free healthcare. You don't have to worry about healthcare. And it's like, well, free healthcare for Canadian citizens. I'm not a Canadian citizen. So healthcare for us is like a whole difficult thing where we have like a set doctor, but they like send specialists to us who then will bill us like $900 for looking in our ear if we have like an ear infection.
Interesting.
So like weird experience, right? So healthcare is crazy. The taxes are insane. And like you have to end up hiring like a Canadian accountant to help you with your taxes in addition to your like US accountant. And the other thing is like my family, you know, when the show started, I had a 6-week-old. My daughter had just been born, and we literally moved to Montreal together for 6 months to shoot this show with a 3-year-old, a newborn, and my poor wife who's like recovering from having a baby, but also like in a new country, in a new house, dealing with new daycare situations for our 3-year-old, and, you know, postpartum, all that comes with that.
Yeah.
And when my son started kindergarten in season 3, we decided, hey, we're going to do this separately. You guys are going to stay in Jersey at our house where like we have predictable healthcare, predictable education for the kids. And like, you guys can stay put. My wife has a support system around her of neighbors and family and friends. And I'm just going to come back and forth as much as humanly possible. And it's going to be hard. I'm going to be away a lot of the time. I'm going to miss a lot of like family moments, but like, this feels like the best thing to do for everyone involved. And the mantra that my wife and I kind of repeat over time after time is like, this is just a chapter. This is not going to be forever. It's insanely difficult, but it's also, we can't deny how financially it is like supporting us in a tremendous way. So there are undeniably great parts of this job, but there's also very difficult things. The logistics of having a life like this are just difficult. And so that mantra has really helped us to be like, this isn't going to be forever. And it's just a chapter, you know, like we will get through this and we'll come out on the other side and it'll be difficult, but it'll be different. It's not always going to be like this. I'm not always going to be back and forth for 7 months of the year. And we're in a great period right now where filming has just wrapped last week. And now I'm home. I'm home for like 5 months. And yes, I'll like, you know, I'll have little things to do here and there, but like for the most part, I'm just going to be fully present with my wife and my kids. And that feels like so restorative and important. But yeah, I think this chapter would be called Just a Chapter.
That's great.
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
I like that one too. I know we have to wrap, but I want to ask you one more thing. It's like my new obsession question, because I do red carpets as well and or press junkets. And, you know, you've got 3 to 5 minutes max with people and they've been doing press for weeks and their eyes have glazed over at this point. And I almost feel guilty, like then being like, hi, can you like, so what questions do you either like being asked that get you engaged, or do you absolutely shut off or go into like autopilot when you're asked in like that kind of setting?
Yeah. I think I very much go into autopilot when I get questions about the arrow, because it's just visibly the most noticeable thing. But like,
Emily,
understandably, right? Like it's visibly the most, you know, the thing that sets me apart from all the other ghosts. Like I have a friggin' arrow in my neck. Obviously people are going to ask about it. And it is interesting, right? It's like logistically, how is it in there? And like, how do you move around in the world? But because it is the most obvious thing about my character, there is like, I definitely go into autopilot with arrow stuff. Tell me about a moment when you were blown away by one of your fellow actors on set. And I think there's something so interesting and fun when we are put in a position where we can pump up the people around us. And maybe this goes back to my improv training. Like you're trained from so early to make the people around you look good.
Yeah.
And like the most generous improvisers almost make it seem like they're doing very little on stage, but they're really setting people up around them in such generous ways. And I love being put in a position where I can speak positively about my cast. It's just like fun to do that.
I've had it both ways where people didn't want to be asked about their cast. Someone this week said if he's in something with like, I'm just throwing this out there, but like Anthony Hopkins or something, he's like, people always want to be like, what was it like working with this other more famous person? And he didn't love that. But yeah, if it's like a close knit cast thing, that would make sense.
Yeah, and I think our cast is specific in a lot of ways. Like, I don't consider anyone in our cast to be a household name. There's no
Mhm.
like, Rose and Ukarsh have worked a ton, and they're the leads of
Mhm.
our show, and they're amazing. But they're also not Anthony Hopkins or
Right.
Brad Pitt or whoever. So like, I think we are all at a level where we don't get those questions. It's not like, what's it like to work with Roman Zaragoza? Like, none of us are, if our household names in that way. But maybe that's why it feels so great to be able to be like, hey, can I pump up someone like Sheila Carrasco, who's just like
Yeah,
so insanely
yeah.
gifted and talented and doing a difficult role so well. Like, it's always fun to be in a position to just like sing the praises of your cast. I should also say, though, some people don't like the people they work with. I happen
That's
to
very true.
love
You're
everybody I
lucky.
work with.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Did
for some people, maybe that's not the best question, but I love being asked about the people around me.
but if they don't like the people, they should be trained enough to know they have to pretend. That's why the tabloids always go crazy when you find out that so and so actually they hated each other, but they played best friend.
Totally.
This has been really fun. You have the best sound we've had,
Yeah.
I think,
Hey.
ever. I know the
did it. I did it.
soundproofing, like, amazing.
I know. I like, we moved into a new house in July, and I had an opportunity to actually like have a dedicated space that's fully soundproofed, and it's amazing. It's been like a game changer for stuff like this. It's so nice to just be able to like pop down and do this. So yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you guys so much. This was so nice to chat.